Good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, and this is Dr. McCoy here for our Thursday gathering. We gather on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So thank you for taking some of your time to spend with me on this evening. We also have a conference call line, so people can choose to come on the conference call line as well. And as many of us know, these gatherings are also on my YouTube channel. So if you're joining via YouTube, then welcome. So glad you're here. You may not be here right at 7 o'clock on Thursday, but you're here a little later on another day. And so I'm certainly delighted that you're here. On last week, I mentioned something about the importance of healing. And I wanted to stay true to what I mentioned. Many of you know that when thinking about Dr. Talika McCoy Ministries, it's about impacting hearts or impacting lives, healing hearts, and growing faith. Impacting lives, healing hearts, and growing faith. And so I was telling us on last week that I do okay with the impacting lives part, I think, when I gift things to you. I like to give things away, books and items. And even with my scholarship this year, I was able to give $2,000. And so the impacting lives, I hope I'm doing that. I think I'm doing that, all right anyway. And then there's the growing faith piece where I have the opportunity to preach and then to teach, and even in this space, we grow in faith together as we walk through books of the Bible. So we're in the book of Luke now. But the healing hearts part, again, my ministry is threefold: impacting lives, healing hearts, and growing faith. I need to do a little better in the healing hearts part. And so that's what this is about on this evening. I mentioned that many of us, we really are in need of healing, right? There are a lot of people who are in need of healing. And sometimes our responses to things or some of the things we do that out of being hurt ourselves. And we don't always know what to do with the hurt in our lives. And healing is really a process. And I think that we need to talk more about healing. So you see behind me the word heal, H-E-A-L. And whenever I am led to talk about healing, this is the background that you're going to see. So I have different backgrounds, so I've just added one, okay? I want you to think about the word heal, and I want you to think about the areas in your life where you may need healing, where healing needs to be applied. You don't have to share it. I just think that we need to have a safe space where sometimes we can share really intimate things, not necessarily aloud, but share them even within our hearts. And sometimes people don't give you the opportunity to stay and to think about your pain, to think about those areas in your life that don't feel good. Many times people do a great job at preaching you out of those places. People do a great job at cheerleading you out of those places. People sing you out of those places. People shop you out of those places. So a lot of times we have these methods by which we use so that we won't have to think about healing. These momentary things, items in our lives that make us say, I don't really have to think about that, and I won't. And so then we don't do the work of healing. But I want you in this moment right now to think about healing and what that means to you. Areas in your life, again, you don't have to share it. I want you to share it with yourself. I want you to be honest with yourself right now, okay? Areas in your life where you need healing. Areas in your life where there is brokenness. Talking about you now. Areas in your life where you sometimes wish that you can just, and I'm using that word wish, but you wish that you could really talk to somebody about it, but you feel ashamed. And so you walk around as a person who shows up as a whole person, but there's brokenness inside. So you're whole, but you're really broken pieces. I want you to think about that. Because on this evening, I want us to think about healing in the sense of, do healing and hurt really go together? Like, do they really connect? So I ask you to think about areas where you need to heal. And then I want you to think about the hurt that you have. Does it really attach to healing? Because there are some people who would say that some things that hurt can't be healed. Some people say that. Some things that hurt cannot be healed. So I'm asking again, do you think that healing and hurt connect? I ask you to think about areas where you need to heal. And then if that's hurting, does healing and hurt really connect? Some people would say, of course, healing and hurt connect. You know why? Because let's say you get a cut on your leg. And in order for it to heal, it's hurting. In order for it to heal, you have to do something about it. And it can heal, but you have to do the work. Some people would say, absolutely, healing and hurt go together, because whenever I'm hurt, when I think about that cut on my leg, for example, if I tend to it and I do the work, I don't have to worry about infection, perhaps. I don't have to worry about that hurt or that infection spreading. But if I don't do the work, if I don't believe that healing and hurt connect, then that means that, I could be infected, and then that hurt, that injury could reach the point of severity where it infects other parts of my body. Before I know it, that infection, it spreads, and I could even have sepsis, and then I could die. So if I'm hurt, then yes, healing connects to it, because I have to work on the healing so that it doesn't spread into other areas of my body. Or what about this, my life? So some people say, of course, healing and hurt, they go together. Healing is a process that I deserve to go through. But some people would say, no, healing and hurt don't go together. Because as I stated before, there are some hurts that cannot be healed. Have you ever thought about this? Before I start talking about coping with different types of hurt, before I start bringing up different types of hurt, I want us to really sit with this idea. Does healing and hurt go together? Because some people, again, they say no, because there are some types of hurt. There's no healing from everything. So I'm not here to make us argue with one another, to say, yes, every hurt can be healed and must be healed, or it'll spread. I'm not here to argue that, or no, you cannot heal every hurt, because some hurts everything just can't be healed. Well, let's think about what healing is. So again, I'm talking about the part of my threefold ministry that has to do with healing hearts. Not the impacting lives part, not the growing faith part, but the healing hearts. And I'm just talking to you on this evening. So then what does it mean to heal? To heal. Healing is to cause to be overcome, to cause an undesirable condition to be overcome. That's what some people would say. That's healing, is to overcome. Some people would say that healing means wholeness. Some people would say healing means to make well again. Do you see why some people would say, well, then that means everything cannot be healed? Because you're talking about making well again, and everything can't be made well again. See why some people argue that? So I'm asking you where you stand when you understand this word that is above my head. What does it really mean to heal? And can healing take place in every situation? Now, once we start applying like God and scripture, a lot of people would simply say, absolutely, because God is a healer, right? Well, we're not going there yet. We're sitting here with what have we been conditioned to think when it comes to healing. I'm saying this because the reason why some people don't go through the process of healing in the first place is, number one, some people don't believe in healing. It just can't happen. You hurt me or I get hurt and that's it. There's no coming back from it. So first I need to see where you are. I need you to think about where you are. So that's the first thing. So some people are like, no, healing can't happen. Okay, number two, there are some people who say it's such a hard process that I don't believe that I can do it. So I do believe healing can happen, but I don't believe that I'm capable of doing the work, because that may take me a lifetime and I'd rather just not do it. Like, for example, if the type of hurt is church hurt, I'm not going to go through the process to do anything about it. I just won't go to church. That's why I'm asking again, what do you believe can be healed? And do you believe that you deserve the process of healing in your own life? Or do you just say, no, it's all, just forget it? Well, when thinking about healing in the Bible, Many times when we read the Bible, we do see healing to be that which is attached to being made whole. Being made whole. So if you are a Christian and you believe in biblical healing, then that means that you believe that you can be made whole. Well, the next thing is, what's your part in the whole making process? Because we are in partnership with God, because God gives us free will. So yes, God can decide to do anything God decides to do, and you are in partnership with God. So let's go back to the church hurt. If you decide you don't want to go to church anymore, then God is not making people go to church. See that? So then you get to decide. But if you get hurt in church and you're willing to work in partnership with God, and the church is the house of the Lord to you, then you'll work through the process, and one day you may walk back into church. But it's a process. So making whole or well in the Bible, when we look at Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 3, the Bible tells us that there is a time to kill and there's a time to heal. So when is your time? Now I'm putting it in the Bible. So I asked you first, what are your thoughts? Just thinking about healing and hurt. Now I'm putting scripture there so that we might consider if there is a time to kill, a time to heal. If there is a time to heal, then when is that time for you? For some of us, it's long overdue. Healing has been long overdue. There are some things that you've gone through, some people that you've had to deal with in your life, and that type of hurt attached to that person and or that situation. There comes a time, according to the Bible, there comes a time for healing. So then what are some examples in the Bible of healing? So if there's a time to heal, well, in this way, a time to heal occurs in prayers of restoration for health. Because sometimes when people think about healing, they think about physical health, right? So I mentioned something like church hurt. I'm going to mention some other things. But in the Bible, in Numbers chapter 12, verse 13, Moses cried out to the Lord on behalf of his sister Miriam. Miriam was stricken with leprosy. And he cries out to the Lord and he says, please, God, heal her. A time to heal. That's just an example where someone cried out to God on behalf of the healing that they needed in their life. There's a time to heal. Is this your time now? Maybe like Moses, you need to cry out. Well, you're not crying out maybe on behalf of your sister with leprosy. It may not even be a physical healing. It may be a healing of the heart, which is what I'm attempting to help us to do tonight, is think about what type of healing we need. Before I start talking again about coping with healing, when we haven't even admitted that we need to heal from that particular thing. Maybe in Psalms 6, verse 2, when David cried out in agony to God, you need God to help you to heal. David said, have mercy on me, Lord, for I am faint. Heal me, Lord, for my bones are in agony. Sometimes hurt can be so devastating that you can feel it in your bones. I'm going to talk about certain types of hurt. Some of you have been through it, and you're going to be able to relate and say, Dr. McCoy, yes, it hurts so bad. It feels like I can feel it in my bones. Felt like that. Or maybe like Jeremiah, you cry out to the Lord and say, heal me, Lord, in Jeremiah 17:14. Heal me, Lord, and I will be healed. Save me, and I will be saved, for you are the one I praise. When are times in life when you need to cry out to God for healing? When are times in life when you need to do the work of healing? And it is work, and it's not easy work. It's not easy work when you have a failed relationship with a parent, but you want healing to take place. It's not easy work when your child has been wayward and they've done unspeakable things that you can't even share, but that's still your baby and you have to do the work of healing. It's difficult work when you worked a job, you were on a job, employed for years, and they gave the promotion to someone else, and now you still have to go there every day because it's about your livelihood and not about your pride. It's hard work to think about healing. That's why a lot of people don't do it. But Can all types of hurt, let's go back to this. Can all types of hurt be healed? Maybe some people aren't doing the work of healing because they don't believe that their type of hurt can be healed. Like, for example, Dr. McCoy, how are you going to talk to me about healing? You don't understand. There are different types of hurt that just, it seems that it can't be, you don't understand. I mean, now, you say that healing is to cause an undesirable condition to be overcome. Well, it's undesirable when I think about the fact that someone died in my family. You're talking about going through this process of healing. They're not coming back. That situation is not changing. The fact is, hurt, that seems incapable of healing is something that we don't even talk about most of the time. Even when it comes to the death of a loved one, we have the funeral. And for those of us who are Christians, they're gone on to glory. They're in a better place. And so you're supposed to get over it and move on, and you'll see them again another day. We don't even talk about that type of hurt that seems there's no healing from to some people. And I'm talking about some people. It may not be you, but I'm trying to help somebody beyond us. Maybe it's not you, maybe it's not me, but it's somebody. And if you're listening to me today, I just want to encourage you that I may not have been through what you've been through. I'm here to support you. Because again, these things that seem incapable of healing from, they're rarely discussed in an open way. Like I'm talking now. There are some people who be like, I don't even want to hear about that. I'm past that. I'm over it. Don't try to take me there. Well, I can't take you somewhere that you already are. You're already there. Maybe some of the things that I'm saying is pricking it so that you can know that you have some work to do and you deserve the work that it takes to heal. So the lack of acknowledgement, it really deepens people's despair. Whenever we say things like, oh, you dealt with church hurt, oh, just get over it. You've been hurt everywhere else. We don't want to talk about it. We want to brush it under the rug and make people feel like you need to get past it because everybody hurts. But that can deepen a person's despair. And when it feels like that that they're incapable of this type of hurt, different types of hurt is incapable of being healed. The fact of the matter is they don't always know what to do. Think about molestation. People have been molested. And yeah, I know what we say. I made it through. You did make it through. And then in those moments where that thing may come back to your mind, you have to know that you can do some more work so that you won't be in a place where you're paralyzed, or you won't be in a place where people say hurt people, right? Right. So you think about the death of a loved one. You think about witnessing a loved one who is dealing with addiction. Some of us have been blessed. You hadn't dealt with any of this. So, when I'm talking about healing, you may be thinking, oh, I'm fine. You're not talking about me. Well, God bless you. But at the end of the day, there are times when we need to share our pain in a space that is safe. That means that you always remember that if there's a therapist, it's okay to have a therapist. If there's a person that you can trust, it's okay to talk about some of those things, because sharing your pain and using it really to help other people can really help when it seems that some of those hurts can't be healed. That can be a form of healing. But I don't want to get into coping with hurt right now. I'm going to do that in another space. I want to talk right now about some hurts that will always be a part of you. Because sometimes people like to say things as if, oh, you'll get over it. You'll get over that. Okay, maybe you hadn't dealt with any of these things, but let me just prepare you for real life, okay? So these things that, are going to be a part of you for the rest of your life, they don't have to define you, but they can be a constant reminder, like day by day or week by week or month by month or year by year. And so I'm going to examine how to cope with these things, but I want to talk to you about 7 things that I read in psychology today. And these were 7 really eye-opening events that can happen in a person's life that it's a part of them forever. So I mentioned one of them, the death of a loved one, the loss of a spouse or a parent or a child. How can you tell someone, oh, you will heal when it comes to you losing your child? Watch how we say that, right? So there may be a type of healing that they can define for themselves. But to say to someone, oh, you can heal from any and everything. Remember I said that at the beginning. Can you really heal from any and everything? And if you can, what does that mean? We're going to look at that, okay? So I want you to stay with me. Anytime you see this background, I'm going to go more into depth. Right now, I'm trying to give like an overview of the things that I'm going to be talking about, which is a little challenging. But I want you to stay with me because I'm going to talk about various topics. You know, and I want you to send me some topics. Dr. McCoy, what does healing look like for someone who was molested? What does healing look like for someone who was in an abusive relationship, like a marriage or something? What does it look like? What does healing look like? We need to talk about these things because a lot of spaces, even religious spaces, are not going to have these conversations. That's why people walk around bitter. That's why they're so angry. That's why they share certain things on social media because they're not doing the work. What they're doing is they're putting a Band-Aid on such a large wound, and they keep putting Band-Aids on it. What happens to a Band-Aid after a while? After a while, the Band-Aid starts to fall off, and then you have to put another one on there. Then that Band-Aid falls off, and you put another one on there. And not only do they fall off and not last, but they don't cover the complete site of the injury. And so when we do these things or we attack other people and we lash out at others and we, share these things on social media, it's because we haven't done the work of healing. You're not healed. You have some unfinished emotional business in your life. One of them can be that thing that you carry with you all the time and you don't know what to cope with, like the loss of a loved one. Okay? So you lose that person and every day you have this impulse. You want to call them, right? Something happens in your life and you want to share it. And then Mother's Day comes around, Father's Day comes around, siblings, National Siblings Day, all this stuff. And you see it on social media. You're upset because you have unfinished emotional business. You have to do the work. I'm not talking about getting over it. I'm talking about getting with it. You don't want to be with it. And sometimes you have to sit with your pain. Sorry to tell you that. But sometimes you have to sit with your pain. You have to become familiar with your pain. And I'm saying your pain because it's unique to your life and nobody else's pain is like yours. If you lost your mom and this person over there lost their mom, you both lost your mom, but it's very different because you didn't have the same mom. And even if you do have the same mom, the dynamic can be extensively different. So sometimes you have to sit with it and say, oh, now that I lost my mom, what does that mean to me? Oh, my goodness. That means I'm an orphan. I lost both my parents. I'm an orphan. You have to sit there with that reality. Because the more you add those Band-Aids to it and the Band-Aids come off and the wound spreads, you end up having the kind of life that your loved one would have never wanted you to have in the first place. They wanted you to live beyond them. But you can't even do that because you haven't given yourself the opportunity to heal. So what's another one? And I read, these are 7 things that I read in Psychology Today that really made me think. So the second hurt that will always be a part of you is not just the death of a loved one, but mental illness. You may not deal with mental illness. So I'm not talking to you. You may not have a family member who deals with mental illness. But I need to say this because there was a patient who said, once they realized that their brother was diagnosed with schizophrenia, saying, I don't want to believe that he's sick like that. It'd be different if he had diabetes. It'd be different if he had high blood pressure. But a mental illness? When I think about his body, it could have happened anywhere else in his body, but why in his mind? And now I'm mad at God because the preacher told me that God is a mind regulator. So now I'm upset with God and I'm upset with the preachers and I'm upset with church. And I'm just walking around in pieces. And that's not going to leave, because my brother is going to always be my brother. And the thing about it is, my brother may, talking about the type of hurt that's always with you. My brother may drop out of therapy, stop taking his meds, and just depending on me or my parents or whatever. And I deal with that. How can somebody heal from that? See what I'm saying? So before we just say, oh, you can heal from everything and anything. Okay, let's think about this, because if you can, then when dealing with mental illness, you have to do the work so that you can define what healing looks like when dealing with mental illness. So if healing from everything is possible, then you need to be big and bad enough to create the definition for that type of healing. That's why I'm going to stay on this for a little while. What is the definition of healing alongside that particular event in your life? Okay, another, when reading Psychology Today, another hurt that will always be a part of you. Number 3, addiction. Addiction is a cruel affliction because the person you love, for example, or even yourself, is there but not really themselves. And if you have an addiction, healing from addiction can be a lifelong process. Okay? And we can't think of healing as something that I started today and then I'm healed tomorrow. Healing may be something that happens throughout your life. And you have to know that that's okay. You're working on it. There are things in my life that I can share with you all that would absolutely blow your mind. You'll be like, no, Dr. McCoy, are you kidding me? You have some things in your life where I would be like, no, are you kidding me? Are you serious? You deal with that every day or every month? Are you kidding me? But for those of us who are focused on ourselves and very self-aware, we are dedicated to working really hard to be the person that we present to you every day. Why? Because we don't want to be difficult. We don't want to be unpleasant to be around. So we realize that if we know ourselves better than we know you, that's the best gift that we could give to you. See that? So it's very important to define what healing is for you. I see you, Sister Samantha. Healing looks like you and I. There you go. I like that. So you can be an agent of healing, in somebody else's life if you've done your own work. See that? I can only talk about this because I work on myself for my own healing. I have some of these things. I have a list as well. The things that are going to be with me. And I have just learned that that's going to be with me. It's like Paul saying there was given unto me a thorn, that thorn in his flesh. It was just there. So stop thinking that everything could just be prayed away and start praying to God that you will be more in tune with God so that God will walk with you as you're on this tedious journey. Stop talking about taking everything away and start thinking, God, I can do this thing if I can see that thing through your eyes. And if I would get out of my own way, you don't have to move it. You know that song that says, Lord, don't move the mountain, but give me the strength to climb. Lord, don't take away the stumbling block. What does it say? But lead me all around. I didn't used to understand that song. Why would the psalmist, the person singing, say, you don't have to move the mountain? Give me the strength to climb. Don't take away my stumbling block, but lead me all right. It's because we have to grow up. Nobody promised that life was going to be easy. But God has promised to be with us along the way. So you know what, God, you don't even have to remove that stumbling block. Because guess what? Stumbling block ain't going nowhere. Stumbling block is your child. Stumbling block ain't going nowhere. Stumbling block is your mother. Stumbling block is not going anywhere. Stumbling block is you. So Lord, if you remove the stumbling block, that means you'll make me die because I'm in my own way. So stop praying for everything to be moved because sometimes it's you. So. We have to ask God to help us. So addiction is one. And then number 4, chronic illness. When the doctor says something about an illness and we refuse to believe it, that's not possible. You must be talking about somebody else. Why? So then you try to get on with your life. As you struggle with this chronic illness, this fear that the condition could get worse, you live with that every day. And you can't tell anybody because you're supposed to be a good Christian. So then you can't possibly heal, because you can't come to a space like this where somebody could be honest with you, because she's not supposed to talk about it like that. She's supposed to give you scriptures. And as long as you got scriptures and you go to church, then you're all right. You are a human being. And as long as I am able, I'm going to meet you where your pain is. I'm going to meet you at that place of healing. Okay? So we're going to walk through this together. Another one is betrayal. Have you ever been betrayed? Think about that. Something that's with you all the time. Like you think about people in romantic relationships. My ex-husband or my ex-wife, betrayed me. And now, I don't let people get close to me. I have a wall up. If you're walking around like that and it affects all your loving relationships or could be loving relationships, you need to heal. Yeah, it may be with you. Even if you get into the relationship, even if you get married again, it may be with you. But as you do the healing, you start to transform your mind. And friendships. Thank you so much, Sister Tucker. Friendships. You won't be friends with anybody because of what that person did. So they get to control the rest of your life. Don't let them take your life away. There are still good people out there. But let me not go into coping. I'm just giving you number 6. Something else that you may have to live with. I may have to live with. And so when we talk about healing, people say, oh, you just get over it. No, not if it's number 6, a permanent injury. I lose my legs. Don't talk to me about healing from that. Am I going to get new physical legs? You say God is able. Is God handing out more legs? So I have to get, prosthetics and things like that. Well, I'm angry. As you leg person, a person with legs, don't come to me talking to me about that. Now, you can maybe help me through my healing process. And then you let me define what that looks like, because I don't have my legs anymore. And I used to run, 5K or marathons. So that's going to be with that person. And then lastly, trauma. Trauma leaves an imprint that endures, and it can cause really a change in your course of life. It may undermine your ability to feel safe, your ability to trust other people, or really move through the world without fear. So that's number 7. So trauma is really important as well, because once it happens, it does not unhappen. Once it happens, it does not unhappen. So we understand, I think, even before this gathering, what healing is, when we get a generic idea of what it is. But I'm going to invite us, as I talk about this topic of heal, when you see this background, I'm going to invite us to extend that definition and to give people grace to define healing for themselves. I think we need to go beyond the generic definition of healing, because if I were to ask you right now, what is healing to you? You probably have your own definition. And all I'm going to do is really push us to expand that, because we need to heal, but sometimes we don't even know what that means. So thank you for being here. And I'm going to continue to pray on this topic because I think it's really important, even for Christians, to sit down and think about their pain so that they can actually know what they need to heal from and then start the process of healing. So God bless you, and I'll see you on next week, I think. But isn't next week the 4th of July? I don't know. Do you all, let me look at my calendar. I think it might be. And you all may celebrate, let's see. It is. It's a holiday. You all may be like out at those places where they do the, fireworks. So we can not meet next week if you all want. I don't have any plans. Usually what I do is I will talk about Frederick Douglass. What to the slave is the 4th of July. So if you want me to do something, that's what I'm going to be doing. So you may not want to have me next week. Because if I do come on here, that's what I'm going to be talking about. But thank you so much for being here. And God bless you. I see you all saying thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much for being here. And we'll see about next week. If I'm on here next week, that's what I'll be talking about, because it's the 4th of July, Mr. Frederick Douglass. But have a great night. And I hope that you will pray this evening concerning healing in your life, okay? God bless you. See you next time.